What's going on YouTube? This is AK and you're watching Vlogmore. And today is a very spectacular day. And one of the reasons why is because I'm back. I'm back after, quite a hiatus. Had a lot of things going on that I had to take care of. Very important things, right? So sometimes you got to take care of those things. But I made sure that when I came back, for you guys, I would give you all a very special video on a very special weapon. For one, because it was my very first weapon that I ever had. Okay. Two, it's the gun that got me into guns, that really gave me the gun bug, to be honest with you. And I just want to get into all the special little things about it that I love. And and you'll decide if you love it too and you would want to have one yourself. What weapon am I talking about today? Well, that weapon is the Mini 14, okay? But not just any Mini 14. The Mini 14 Tactical, okay? And this one in particular has a wood stock. And not all Mini 14 Tacticals come with wood stocks. So this one, from what I was told upon the day that I bought it, and I managed to look it up a while ago. Can't find the article now, but some type of sheepdog edition. I'm sure some of the viewers will know which kind it is. Some type of sheepdog or law enforcement edition that comes with a wood stock. Can't remember the exact nomenclature, but something like that. That's what this is. So, very first firearm. Okay, very special gun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this gun a little bit, and I'm going to basically let you guys know, you guys and gals out there, the pros that may motivate you to want one of these, and the cons that may deter you from wanting one of these. Okay, we're going to talk about both, and yeah, why I love it so much. So let's get into it. So just some quick history about the Mini 14. It was invented by Leroy Sullivan and Bill Ruger. Mostly, of course, the design, Leroy Sullivan, but more so marketed by Bill Ruger. And it was introduced in 1973. Okay, missed a lot of the Vietnam War, but I do feel like if it had been introduced earlier, well, and a lot of people can agree with this, it would have been a contestant in military trials as far as a replacement for the M14. I think it would have been a very, very viable candidate to replacing the M14 fully on the battlefield. But the SP1, or what we know now as the AR-15, beat it to it. So it just wasn't able to seal that type of deal, but it became a very iconic civilian rifle, and at the time a lot of civilians were equating this weapon with more reliability than the M16 because of all the issues that the M16 had in the field, partly because superiors and supervision would tell troops that this weapon did not need to be cleaned, meaning the M16, which we all know that that's absolutely not true. Okay, so I think that if they had given the troops a little bit more, or better advice as to how to care for the weapon, then they would have had a lot less issues. And as far as this weapon's concerned, I can't say how it would have performed in the field, but I'm sure that a military styled version of this gun back then, who knows, maybe it would have done all right. So yeah, this gun's been around a long time. So I'd like to get into a few specs of this weapon that I think are pretty positive. First things first, the barrel. The barrel is a 1-in-9 twist barrel. It's pretty standard nowadays for a semi-automatic weapon, especially when you compare it to the AR-15. A lot of AR-15s have a 1-in-9 twist. See my earlier video on the Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2. That's a 1-in-9 twist. It's a very versatile twist rate for a semi-automatic weapon, And yeah, I think it's well worth the money. Next, it has a adjustable rear sight and anywhere from 20 to 30 round blue steel magazines. So I mean, yeah, pretty cool, pretty straightforward. The weight, anywhere from 6.5 to 9.7 pounds. Now, that's kind of heavy when you're getting into the 9 and 8 pound ranges. But you know, there's so many different cuts of the Mini 14, so many different models. Just depends on which one you purchase. You should be good if you're anywhere from the 6.5 to 7.5, I'd say, a pound range. But yeah, anything else other than that, I think is a bit heavy, you know, for the type of rifle that you have. But those are some basic specs on it. Now, let's get into the pros of the Mini 14 Tactical. First things first, I'd go for the barrel, right? Now, when I talk about the Mini 14, okay, I do mean the Mini 14 Tactical. I'm not referring to the non-tactical models because I do believe the barrels are way too thin. If you do own one of them and it served you well, great. It's a great weapon for home defense, great weapon for varmint hunting, that type of thing. But when we're talking a little bit more involved heavy usage, I'm referring to the Mini 14 Tactical. So whenever I say Mini 14, just know I mean the tactical model. Okay, so barrel. I do like the fact that it's a 1 in 9 twist, very versatile rate. It's great. Another thing I like, the magazine. I think the magazine's really cool, really sturdy. You can tell that it's, yeah, built tough and can take a lot of abuse. So, you know, I do like when the hardware is tough along with the weapon. Aesthetically pleasing. I love the way the Mini 14 looks. It's beautiful to me, especially when it has wood on it. The Mini 14 looks like the ideal militia rifle, okay? And to be quite honest with you, when I was researching what type of weapon to get, what would be the all-around best weapon to get, after about a month, well, a lot longer than that, of research, of just reading up on weapons that were legal in most states and that wasn't very intimidating, could be good for home defense but reliable, that type of thing. This gun came up, and I do believe that if you're looking for a weapon that is an all-around good semi-automatic weapon, right, that can fire anywhere from 5 to 30 round magazines, right, this is the one. Because, you know, it doesn't really look intimidating like an AR-15 would or an AK-47, right? It just kind of looks like a hunting rifle with a magazine in it. And, you know, if you're going on a trip or something and you're in the driveway, you know, carrying it to your truck without the magazine in it probably isn't going to scare too many people and cause them to call the police. Okay? So, you know, as far as traveling from state to state that allow Mini 14s, right? This would be, I think, a really good gun for that. And also, I think the Mini 14, the most important thing I have to note is I think it's the best rifle that you can buy if you're a person that really doesn't plan on getting into rifles and being a gun person, being involved with that pew-pew life, you know. You just want a rifle that's semi-automatic, that's reliable, easy to use, and that you're kind of just gonna just leave sitting around, you know, until a rainy day happens. And so that application, all those applications, I think are filled with this weapon. That's why I bought it, because at the time I was active duty and I wasn't sure if I was going to move back to California, where, you know, the gun laws over there are kind of crazy. Seems like they're getting a little bit better, but still kind of crazy. So, you know, AK-47s, AR-15s tend to draw a lot of ire in certain states, but the Mini 14 tends to be a little bit more friendly. And so, I opted for this, okay? And also because of the fact that it's very unassuming, and it does have a reputation for reliability, okay? We'll speak more about that here in a minute. But it's great for those purposes. If you're just like, look, man, I just want a rifle. I want to really invest in a rifle, an SHTF rifle that, super simple to use, but I'm really not planning on doing anything too crazy with it. Just kind of putting it up and, waiting things out. This gun, I think, is perfect for that. Either this or like an SKS. Either of those guns, I think the Mini 14, a lot of people compare it to the AR-15 or even an AK-47, which I don't know why they would do that. But I will say that the gun that comes to mind the best to compare, kind of like how the AK-47 is in this perpetual battle with the M16, well, I think that the Mini 14 is the comparable weapon to the SKS, okay? In terms of aesthetics, reliability, that type of thing. I think they kind of sit neck and neck with that type of stuff. So, yeah, those are the pluses. Those are the pros, rather, to owning a Mini 14. Now, let's get into some of the cons. First thing is the magazines. I'm just going to make this short and sweet, okay? If you're a SHTF prepper, okay, you do not want this rifle. The magazines are, last time I bought one from the factory, $40 a magazine. To me, that's just way too expensive. If you're a person that has a combat vest and you want a combat loadout, you're talking about what, 6 to 8 slots, sometimes more. You're gonna have to fill that up with $40 a piece magazines. And these are the ones that actually work the best in this weapon, okay? You're spending $40 for an added reliability, because I can tell you that the aftermarket ones do not work well, okay? So that's the first knock against this thing. Second knock is the accuracy. It is not as accurate as an AR-15. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. At closer distances, yes, the weapon has comparative accuracy, or comparable accuracy, but at farther ranges, 200-300 yards, the accuracy starts to deteriorate. I would even go as far as to say an AK-47. I feel more comfortable with the accuracy with that weapon as opposed to a Mini 14. Don't at me. Next is the reliability. I have had reliability issues with the Mini 14 and with the Factory Max, okay? Now, you got to remember that the Mini 14 has an open action system, okay? And that lends itself to a lot of malfunctions when you're talking about adverse conditions. Think if you're in the desert or you're in a place where there's a lot of dirt and grime and that gets into your action, this thing's going to be hard to pull back. It's going to be hard to cycle. That's just the way it is. So you're better off, if you're looking for an SHTF rifle, going with something that has a closed system like an AR-15 or an AK-47. And even though the AK only has that dust cover on it, it's all the world difference, because as you can see, AK is an AK. We don't have to really get into that, right? So the open action system is an issue when it comes to reliability. I'll give you a quick story. I don't use frog lube because I think frog lube is terrible to use, treat your guns with. And an example is, one day I treated this whole rifle, the action, everything, with frog lube. Sat it down for a while, didn't touch it. Came back, went to open the action, and the dang thing was closed shut, stuck shut, couldn't get it open. Okay, had to really fight to get it back. So that's just a warning to you guys who like frog lube or are thinking about buying frog lube. Don't use frog lube on your weapon and let it sit for too long. There's a good chance you may have a malfunction, or the action gets stuck, because this is not the first weapon that's happened to with frog lube. But that's just one example. Now, Frog Loop can do that to this action, then Dirt and Dust will definitely do it to this action. So, and quick side note, for all of you who are wondering about, can this gun handle a tactical carbine course? Well, if you're familiar with James Yeager, according to him, out of his mouth, he has never had a Mini 14 finish a tactical carbine course. Now, maybe some of you out there who own Mini 14s have taken them to a tactical carbine course and the gun did just fine. I don't know what the curriculum is where you went as opposed to his place, but I hear they run their guns pretty hard up there, and he says that none of these have ever made it. So do with that information what you will, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, I have had a few malfunctions that kind of did concern me because, you know, I was in a controlled environment, no adverse conditions. So I can imagine that with dirt and grime in this action, I'm sure you can YouTube videos about the reliability of the M1 or the Mini 14, you know, in torture testing. I'm sure it's not going to do that well. Okay, so that, and also lastly, the price point. You know, if you're a prepper or you're a person that is looking for a SHTF rifle, this gun is way too expensive for what you're getting. So just remember that there's a myriad of AR-15s out there that are extremely reliable, value-enhanced weapons, right? Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 2s, Ruger 5.56s, you know, Bushmasters, those type of things that you can get from the $500 to $750 price point. This gun is going to probably cost you anywhere from $850 to $1,000 depending on what model you get. And frankly, that's way too much money. So for a weapon that can't be customized all that much, okay, I just feel like you're spending way too much money on everything as a whole. So, at the end of the day, I love the rifle, one of my favorites. It'll always be one of my favorites. And yes, would I trust it with my life? Absolutely. And if this was all I had for SHTF, then I would use it. But other than that, I would look further if you're looking to save some money and, you know, get a little bit of added reliability. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section. And make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Peace.